Hi, I'm Brian Jackson. I'm the editor of itbusiness.ca. I'm here today at the Art of Marketing, and I'm with the speaker, Scott Stratten. He's also the author of QR Codes Kill Kittens. Welcome.
Hey, it's great to be here. Awesome audience, awesome event.
What's the problem with QR codes?
I got no problem with QR codes themselves in theory. It's that they have great potential, kind of like what I had as a teenager. The problem is how we're using them, especially as marketers. They've had a great existence for decades on their own, in closed systems, concert tickets, hospital wristbands, any kind of scanning mechanism that we have the mechanism. But now in a consumer-facing world, we haven't adopted them enough to use them properly, but they've been slapped everywhere, on trucks, on billboards, even on bananas, which is bananas to me.
Well, what mistakes are marketers making? I mean, why aren't they thinking through how to actually use these properly?
Well, with tech especially, is that we're always trying to one-up each other, or we always keep up with the Joneses, right? Where with the company beside us. Well, if they're using QR codes, we need to use them. We're actually using things like QR codes to show that we're using QR codes, not to make our lives better, not to make our customers' experience with us better, but because we want to say, hey, look, we're forward-thinking, we're tech-savvy, we're hip. When in reality, the best way to look not tech savvy is probably to use a QR code, because all of us who are in tech are like, nah, that's not going to work that way, because we're pushing consumers to use a technology they haven't adopted fully. And that's a big mistake, especially on a consumer-driven company.
You were talking during your talk on stage there about the worst places to put QR codes, and I've thought about this too, because I've stood there in the subway and be like, why is that QR code there? Like, I can't scan that right now. I mean, what are some of the worst offenders you've seen, the worst places for QR codes?
Billboards on the side of the highway. Like I'm driving and you want me to, like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, motion plus distance does not equal quality scanning opportunities. Bananas, I've seen them on airline magazines that you can't use your phone anyways. You want me to scan them. Pet tags, to save your lost pet. There's so many, email, and the worst of all, email and websites. The website QR code that when I scan it, it takes me back to the website itself. It's like,
Did that really happen?
Twice. I am not, where else would they go? That's a place for them to go in the first place.
I don't get that. So what does marketing need to do to work with maybe their technical teams? Maybe the marketing department needs to link together with the IT department and understand better what is going to be the result of actually implementing this technology. How do you think they could work together to figure that out?
We have to stop having silos like that, where I know from my background, right, it's IT and marketing don't exactly get along, right? Because IT isn't viewed as internal usually for the company, and we take over the internal, so the employee side of things, the service side of things, the email side of things, and all that. When in reality, those experts are also people who understand tech on an adoption level. So maybe the marketer understands, hey, I want to do email marketing, or I want to make sure I have touch points with my consumer base. But the IT crew understands where tech has been and where it's going potentially, and they could have been the one to tell you know what, you might not want to put the QR codes on all of these signs and all these banners or something. When you pull in people from different loops, they can only help you out. And it actually makes a company better. When I'm included together, we feel like more of a cohesive company. And so look at them and say, hey, does this app make any sense to you guys? And then I click on it, which my bank did, by the way, a few years ago. I clicked on their app and it brought me to a page on their website. I'm like, congratulations, you just launched a link. It's not an app at all. And so people in IT, fellow geeks like me, we can be shown something and in 5 seconds understand if it makes sense or not. And I think we need to loop those people in. We got to be stopping so ownership based on all content and bring in other experts. We already have the experts. They just might be behind the computer over in the other department.
Okay, worth thinking about. Now I want to talk to you about the social media stuff that you brought up during your presentation. You're talking about how important it is that social media have immediacy, that you have to be there at the right time. You said that on average it takes 3 days for a brand to respond to a tweet on social media. That's too long, and you had a great anecdote about your experience with Delta. Do you want to tell us about that again?
Yeah, it was really, I had a bad experience with a crew of Delta employees while waiting to go through the security. And if you've been to an airport, you've seen where flight attendants and pilots get to skip security and they get to bump. Well, they didn't even say excuse me. They just literally bumped past me. And I was upset by it. And I told them, why not even excuse me? And she turns around and, said, I said excuse me. I said, I didn't hear you. And she said, well, open your ears. And so I'm like, what did you just say to me? And I tweeted out how angry I was, and Delta in 3 minutes replied back and really sincerely apologized. But it wasn't just about the sincerity, it was about the immediacy of it. that they were so quick, that they quelled my anger so fast that I couldn't be upset anymore. And it changed the brand very quickly. I wrote a blog post called one tweet changing a $1 billion brand, because I put my hand up. I said, look, I'm upset, I'm hurt by this. And they came back and said that was wrong. And that's really what people want when it comes to social. If I'm complaining on social, I don't usually want what I'm demanding. I want acknowledgement. I want acknowledgement that maybe, hey, you might have screwed up. And that hurts me as a consumer. Just own it a bit. And that, you can solve a lot of the problems that way.
What really impressed me there is you misspelled the name Delta. You had a typo, but they still caught it. They still saw it.
Detla. I spelled it Detla. But the smart thing, if you want to take the takeaway, real lesson from this is set up save search settings in Hootsuite or anything else that shows angry misspellings of your name, because those are the people you really want to talk to.
Actually, and I've heard that before too. You got to account for how people will try and type that on their mobile device, right?
It can be misspellings, it can be slang. It can be just because you call yourself this incorporated does not mean your customers do. How are they talking about us, not how you want them to talk about us.
Okay, great to think about. So Scott Stratten, author of QR Codes Kill Kittens, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
I'm Brian Jackson for ITbusiness.ca.